I'm Adam Sharta of Filmwax Radio, and now to Five Star, a member of the Notorious Blood since he was 12 years old, both in the film and in real life. Primo takes John, the son of his slain mentor, under his wing, versing him in The Code of the Streets. Set in East New York, Five Star blends documentary and fictional storytelling as Brooklyn-based filmmaker Keith Miller carefully avoids worn cliches of gang culture to offer a compelling portrait of two men forced to confront the question of what it really means to be a man. You'll meet Keith and his two stars of the film in a moment, but first, right now, let's take a look at the trailer.
March 24th, 2008. A little boy was born. My son. You know where I was? I was locked up. I teared like a baby because I missed the most important part of my son's life. You said you want to man up. Ain't no room for boys over here.
I'm listening.
Look at me. Ain't no sympathy in this. If you in this, you in this. Casey, Benz, they all work for me because of respect. You know why? Because they fear me. Because if one slip up, there are consequences.
Somebody got shot, somebody got stabbed. They found somebody dead in a building.
I want you to tell me who my father was. Who was he?
Don't try to fight for something so hard. You might get answers you don't want to know.
What if I do want to know?
Sometimes things are better left unsaid.
I know how things work. When my pops died, it's like no one had to pay for it.
Everybody answers to me. It don't go down unless it goes through me. Your pops took me in at the same age you is. Respected by everybody. Bloods, Crips, K's, everybody.
You want for me to be blood, man?
I'm a five-star, they don't question me. Say the word right now, put it in the books.
Again, we're joined here in the studio with filmmaker Keith Miller, old friend of mine, good to see you, as well as Primo and John Diaz, who are both the stars of the film Five Star. I want to say at the beginning that, to remind everybody, that the movie is opening this Friday here in New York City at the IFC Center, and you guys are all going to be at various Q&As. We can talk about a little bit about that toward the end of the segment. But first, I met you all at Tribeca Film Festival 2014, so a year or plus ago, and we did a Q&A at one of those. But what's been going on since with it's been a year or so since?
Right after Tribeca, we kind of went on a little hiatus. We did a few festivals here, but then we went to the Venice Film Festival, played a lot of different places in Europe, Thessaloniki, Stockholm, even the Cairo Film Festival. And then here in the United States, we played Tallgrass Film Festival. We played a lot of different places, New Orleans. These guys won a number of awards for their performances. So we've been having a pretty good journey.
It's been a good run so far, festivals. Right. Well, you guys are getting awards, so clearly you're the actors of the film, and again, Primo, you play a kind of an old world gang leader in Brooklyn, right? And John is sort of the protege, like you're kind of taking him under your wing a bit because your father's gone, right?
Yeah.
He died. And as we get through, over the course of the film, basically, we learn more and more about that, and all your relationships start to become clearer. Right. But there's but you're acting in this. Is this your first time acting?
Yeah.
Both of you, or?
This is like my second film, but first film I kind of had like I think one line. So you could consider this my first film acting.
Because you're in like every scene in this.
Yeah,
film,
yeah,
right?
this movie like.
Just about.
Yeah, it's me. If I'm not in the scene, Primo's in the scene.
What were you gonna say?
No, it's my first time acting as well.
You did a really good job. I mean,
thank you.
Real natural performer. So a performance. So how much of this is? Like how much? Not only your performances, how much is, or you really feel like, oh, I'm acting. This is I have to like embody a character, and how much of it is from the story's standpoint is truth and how much of it is just fiction. So why don't you start, and then I want to hear about your experiences acting and how comfortable that was and all that.
Yeah, so developing the story, Primo and I did a lot of just hanging out, talking, spend a lot of time.
Developing.
Yeah. Not developing the story, actually, just hanging out. And then I wrote the story. So in the scenes, there's a lot of details that are true. But when we're shooting, I push really hard to put aside any distinction between documentary and narrative fiction. So a lot of the scenes may be scripted, but what I'm trying to do is get it to feel as real as possible. So if we're out in the Walt Whitman housing projects where we shot a lot of Fort Greene Park, we don't lock it down. I kind of invite people to come in and mess it up. When we're hanging out with the kids in Primo's house, like the kids were very aware that we had, it's a movie set, right? But they were just hanging out and we encouraged that, and Primo's interactions with them. There are lines that are specific and scripted, but he just went, same thing with John and Jasmine, or John and his mom, Wanda, who have such amazing performances, because the push is to make it 100% feel real. It's very hard to do when you got a camera pointed at you, but these guys could do it.
And it's why you're also you choose to work with non-professional actors. I'm going to put quotes around that.
Actors who previously didn't have a headshot.
There you go.
That's cool.
Previously, you both have headshots now, of course. Yeah. So talk a little bit about it. Was it? Did you feel like you were acting in it? Because you kind of play a variation of yourself.
I mean, for me,
right?
it wasn't a feel of acting. Keith definitely made it real comfy, but
sure.
I mean, the story is it's not 100% me, but I've lived majority of the events, so it's just reliving those events all over.
Is that acting to you, or is it just?
It's not acting. It's just probably bringing back memories and reliving it.
Okay.
That especially to be the beginning, where I talk about my son and not being there. That's not acting. That really happened. So, like I said, certain events or certain parts of the film, that actually happened to me. I lived those moments. It was just reliving it.
Understood. So there was no moment where you were channeling Al Pacino. I know that.
No,
we talked about
no Al Pacino
Dog
this
Day
time.
Afternoon.
Probably a little Robert De Niro, but no Al Pacino this time.
Okay, I could see that a little bit.
A little bit.
John, you said, I know you, and you've done some musical theater, as you've admitted to, right? Shouldn't I? Maybe I shouldn't have talked about that.
We can talk about it all.
Okay, good. So, what did you feel? Were you conscious of Were you conscious of acting, or?
My answer is pretty much very similar to Primo's, because we both have been through very
similar.
Numerous amounts of things in our lives that are very similar and not very similar, but at the same time, it comes to a situation where it's like, as Primo said, you can go back in a time and period, and it may not be that exact moment, but that you may be able to get that exact feeling.
Right.
You may be able to get that exact emotion. So it's a lot easier living a life with a little bit more hardship and getting into that sad place or that happy place or that angry place. It may be a little bit more easier.
Yeah.
But you do also understand that you are acting, because you have a really huge camera and lights, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on around you, but it's something that I chose to do. I know Primo, he loves to act. He says it all the time. I don't think he understands how good he is, but
well, not anybody can pull off what you're describing. You're kind of making it sound sort of easy for you. Maybe not intentionally, but that's how. But it actually requires a great amount of skill to come off naturalistic.
I mean, when you live the life, everything is natural. When we drink a cup of water, you put a camera to it, you're still drinking the same cup of water. You've lived that. So it's pretty easy to me.
It's easy to make it sound like they were just hanging out.
Yeah.
But we did, like the last scene where John and Primo were at the table, we did 8 takes. Yeah. And I said, Primo, let's do it this way, and let's do it that way, and John, I want you to do this. And each time they gave very different dynamic performances. We only need 1 take. Any one of those 8 takes would blow you away. So to say, like, it's just being me, like, sorry, I couldn't do it. Like, most actors I see just can't do, I mean, the good and great ones can, but, these guys delivered performances scene after scene, take after take. So I'm always a little bit like, hey, don't minimize it. Now, of course, it's great that you guys minimize it, but I feel like watching them perform, everybody on set was like, damn, like the fight between John and his mother, everybody there was like, that was serious.
Yeah.
You know, and Primo with Tamara, like, we went through that scene a lot. It feels like they just hang out like documentary, but we went through it, and they gave different types of deliveries and different type of emotional spaces. And so that's not just like, you guys weren't just like, all right, well, we'll hang out, you know, let us know when the camera's done.
Yeah, we were aware that the cameras were there, and, you know, certain things were scripted, but at the end of the day, Keith made it, him and the whole crew made it comfy enough for us to feel like we can just be ourselves, but also, okay, this is the line, okay,
Gotcha.
and do it. So.
Yeah, and they also were really, like, you know, like, Primo's a tough guy, but there's a lot of scenes where he's
I
not
don't
tough.
see it, but,
you don't.
yeah.
And John, like, you know, he comes across as like a lost kid, and he's not. He knows what's going
There's a
on.
lot
You know.
demanded of his performance throughout the film as it goes on. You definitely get a lot tougher. I mean, you have to kind of prove yourself, you know. But that people have to go to the IFC Center this weekend.
they have to
Not
go
only
check
do
it
you
out.
get to see the film and enjoy that, and probably have some popcorn or something and cool off from the heat, but you can meet these guys. So I think everybody should go to the IFC Center this weekend, and tickets are currently on sale. So and they're going fast. I know that for a fact. So you guys are going to be at various screenings.
Yeah, we'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think the 6 and 8:30, or maybe just the 8:30.
And we will be there
throughout. Yeah.
So don't not just only Friday and Saturday. You know,
you may have a Q&A whether or not you choose to, or not.
You might
It
just
might
see
be
us
in-
outside of the theater,
in
just
front of the
hanging
theater.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the website? And let's get, it's on. You guys are on Facebook on
5starthemovie.com, 5star Move on Twitter, and I don't think we, and 5star Movie, the movie on Facebook, and you guys have Instagram accounts.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody possibly wants to follow me, just it's Big Homie Primo, BIGHOMIE PRIMO
Very
on
good.
Instagram. And, that's pretty much the same thing on Twitter.
Okay.
You know.
And I'm on JD Banks.
JD Banks.
JD Banks with an underscore at the end.